We have a very similar process, and I would say that as far as the difference between working in WordPress with the workflow versus just generating static HTML, there has been a definite shortening of that development and to launch process, just because more people can work simultaneously. So you're not stuck waiting for the template to be completed and a developer to become available to even put the content into that HTML file. You can be doing a lot more simultaneously.
All right, well, let's thank all. Oh, was there another question? One more question and then we'll wrap up.
Do you guys ever run into, like, I've ran into some clients who maintain static websites, 5, 6 years old, never been touched, and then they're just getting blogging, but they don't want to merge the two. Have you ever had to deal with that, or how do you talk, I guess, off their clip, because they have, in their mindset, they've got to have the static site in the blog, they don't want the two worlds to come together?
Well, a lot of it depends on what their budget is. So, I mean, we're building a site right now for a client who uses Blogger for their blog. And of course, we wanted to convince them we're building the site in WordPress and they've got their blog in Blogger. But the migration just wasn't in their budget to move all that over. They didn't come to us asking for a WordPress website, they just came to us asking for a website. We built it in WordPress, and yes, it has blogging in it, and so it's kind of silly, but again, they couldn't move their Blogger blog in there by themselves, and they didn't want to pay us to do it. They're happy with their situation. I mean, I'm sure we'll definitely try to upsell them. Hey, after you've been using WordPress to manage your pages, wouldn't it be great to do it, manage your blog that way also? But I've done plenty of sites where you put install WordPress in a subfolder at /blog, and they've got their main site. It's all static HTML files. I mean, that can work. What I often find is that clients will, once they start using WordPress for one part of the site, they'll just wish that the rest of the site was in WordPress too, and then of course it can handle it.
Yeah, the biggest thing I tell our clients, the easiest thing to sell about WordPress is I tell them, and you can update your site yourself, you don't have to pay us by the hour to do it. And every one of them smiles when I say that, because they love that idea. Now, we have had clients in the past that, as I said, they're busy business owners, and literally, even if they couldn't update their site themselves, they would be willing to pay us to do it. And we even have a couple of sites that are like that, where we're building a site in WordPress, but we're going to actually be managing the content for them. It's just their decision. But I would say a lot of what you have to do when you're selling your web design services is education. And so you don't just come to the table and say, here's this tool. You say, here's how this tool is going to help your business be more efficient. It's going to help you save time, which is going to save you money. It's going to expand your functionality online, which is going to expand your reach to more customers. And you have to translate it into their vocabulary, and then they'll go, yes, this sounds good. I want to do what you're recommending instead of this paradigm that they're in now.
What would you guys say to designers who maybe didn't want to use WordPress because it would take away that recurring revenue that comes from updating websites? I mean, some people like that aspect. Do you have any responses that you would say?
That was us a couple years ago.
Yeah. Well, what made you now like not having that piece of your business?
I just love WordPress. I don't know if I have an exact answer to that. We still have sites that we built several years ago that we still maintain, and maybe it's we also do web hosting, so we do have recurring monies built in from the hosting, and we do search engine optimization. It's a big piece of our business, so we just weren't interested in doing the stuff that they could do easily.
Yeah, and we do hosting as well. We charge our clients, if they want to host with us, support and hosting. But then we have some that host it themselves. Leia, when you guys use Media Temple, does the client pay you and you host it, or do you turn it over to them and they own the Media Temple account and relationship?
I think there's a mix. It just kind of depends on what the client wants. A lot of times they don't want to be involved, so it's easier that way.
For your question, sir, I would say, I don't know how well indexed that site is in Google, but WordPress, huge for SEO, right out of the box. But you do about 2 or 3 things: pretty permalinks, Google Sitemap Generator, and as a plus, all-in-one SEO Pro or all-in-one SEO. And then you got to tell them to do the hard thing, which is write content. But if they don't see the value in SEO and Google, then they're kind of missing the boat. And then the other thing I would probably say is autonomy, control, freedom. So do you want to manage your site? And so when your phone number area code changes next year, do you want to manually update 500 pages? Or would you like to do that with one click? So autonomy, and then SEO is huge. I mean, WordPress, we're talking about WordPress today, let's face it, because it's a powerhouse for SEO. And then back to your question, I wanted to mention this. When I say I want to build tools to help Matt and his team save time, that's not necessarily so they can go out and build customers. It's so that they can also pass that savings on to customers and then concentrate and focus on what they do best. And that's what I think WordPress is about too. So another thing is, if I think Matt and Leah and RD2 and all the realize that what is ultimately best for the client. If they're going to stick on some proprietary system or some HTML while the technologies are just rapidly outpacing those, then ultimately I'd say that's not a very good business plan, because in 5 years they're going to, or a couple years, let's just face it, a couple months in this business are going to face up that, Matt's group, if Leah's group doesn't do it, then Matt's group will. They'll save money, and they'll put them ahead with technology and stuff like that. So really the question is, what's best for the client and the helicopter above us?
All right, well, let's thank all of our panelists. And again, thanks to RD2 for hosting. I'm sure the panelists will stick around for a little bit if you have questions and mingling afterwards. But this was our last event of the year. We're going to take December off, but sign up for the email list. If you've already RSVP'd, I've got you on the email list, but if you're not on there, give me your card and I'll sign you up, and we'll let you know when we have our next event scheduled. We're hoping to get this video up on the web sometime so that you guys can review it, or we can share it with other people who couldn't be here. So again, thanks all for coming out. If you did want to donate